How would you seduce a serial killer? Do you think you'd survive?
Well, I don't think I'd seduce them in the sense of like, hey, big fella, but I would definitely make them feel like they were the man. I'd like, tell me how you did it. And you just got to get them talking about themselves.
I feel like the context for me would be like, okay, if I can seduce them, we can take them out. Like the FBI is going to come in like from the ceiling and we're going to, like how you seduce the plant in Little Shop of Horrors. I don't know, a musical theater dork. I'd like cut myself a little and be bleeding and be like, oh no, do you like that? do you like this blood?
Okay.
So in your scenario, the FBI is like right outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's helpful.
But I would have like been building this up. Like I would have built up a relationship and trust and like had fake pictures of murders that I've done.
Right. I like that. I would just compliment them. Like
there are two kinds of serial killers. Sometimes they get angry, so they want to kill you more. Like you try to do things like that. But like one of the things that, like to your point, I teach screenwriting, right? And when I teach screenwriting, I teach people how to survive crimes. One of the ones I teach is that you want to be gross. The grosser you are, the more if you just like you should poop on yourself and you pee on yourself, and then like nobody wants to touch a person that pooped on themselves. Literally, like
not even to kill you. They're just like, ugh, I'm out.
Yeah, like I mean, think about it. Like if you were gonna like kick the shit out of somebody and they literally shit, you're probably not going to keep kicking the shit out of them. You'll be like,
right, because it's the job's been done already.
Well, yeah, but also, I'd rather shit on myself than get killed by a serial killer.
Right. I like that. But
God, I need to not be chronically constipated then.
I feel like peeing on yourself, any of that is way harder than you think. Once you get potty trained.
Oh, I practice this all the time. I'm
practicing right now. I feel like they would kill you sooner. Like if I just shed on myself, then they'd be like, "Oh, no more for this bitch." Slice. Like that's
right.
I have no more use. She seen my
mess
face.
Up their rug.
Yeah. Right. I try to be a partner in crime. I said,
like to seduce them, like Pen and Barbie killers.
Yeah, like we could kill twice as many people, my guy. Like let's talk about this. Let's see, or act like you like it when he cuts you. Oh, I like that cut. And they get mad.
That reminds me of like Army Hammer, how he was trying to convince women that he could like eat them and like cut a little piece off of them and like barbecue it. That's it.
Give me more, daddy.
Yeah, that
tastes delicious.
That's on Max. You can watch that documentary. 2 thumbs up.
What? Was he really doing that?
He was talking about cannibalism.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, it's a good doc. Watch it.
This is the same guy that's, is he an actor too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but he was.
He's heir to the Arm & Hammer, fortune?
Maybe?
Yes.
Yeah,
their whole family, like The House of Hammer is the show, right? Yeah, I watched it as well. It was a mess. And then I went into a deep dive for their whole family. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Definitely check it out.
Baking soda, not to be confused with baking powder. That's a different.
That's a different.
Welcome. This is season 4, episode 11 of the award-winning Unofficial Official Story. I'm Kat.
I'm Dwayne.
And I am Koji.
And this is where we tell you the official story. We look at the paranormal, conspiracies, unexplained phenomena, cryptids, and true crime. And by the end, we'll tell you what really maybe happened.
If you like the podcast, please share it with your friends, family, and even your enemies. You'll be doing a lot to help us keep bringing exciting and fun content every month.
This February, my family and I are celebrating the 36th anniversary of the execution
Your family?
of one of the most notorious serial killers, Ted Bundy. And we're asking a very important question. Was Ted Bundy encouraged by the devil?
But first, let's introduce our guest, comedian Vanessa Graddick. Vanessa is my
I like
Graddick. I like
Vanessa
Graddick too. Vanessa's a really good friend of mine, so I'm gonna look at this bio. I'm gonna read most of it. She started comedy after her mom was sick. She's from Minnesota, so let's get that straight. Let's get that out the way right now. She's Minnesota everything, and she started comedy in 2006, which I love that you say the date, because most people, they like finesse it depending on how good they are, and if they're not good,
but you started 2006, so that's a long time ago. So you could be like,
November 1st, 2006.
November 6th.
Yeah.
Found out her mom was sick, and rather than process adult emotions like an average person, she decided to try stand-up comedy for the first time, which I think is a very comic thing to do. So
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. You're really a comic before you even start. And this proves that.
It's like, go to therapy? No, get on stage. How about that?
Yeah,
Exactly.
sounds about right.
That's like porn. Oh, sorry.
Koji.
That was next. If comedy wouldn't worked out.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Haktua girl. There's only like two choices that she had, right? One was either OnlyFans or creating her own meme coin. She went the meme coin way, but she could have easily gone the OnlyFans way too.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the girl from the Bernie Mac show maybe doing some kind of OnlyFans thing?
Probably, but let's finish this bio.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just say what you know. Quit reading.
And guys,
you know
let me tell you one thing. Whenever you ask if someone has an OnlyFans, you have to do it exactly the way I did it. You have to be super, I don't know about it. Like, didn't I think maybe I had heard? No, but Vanessa's hilarious. She's done all the shows. We worked together on a show called Funny You Should Ask, where she's hilarious, was actually my boss for a little while. She's a great boss. And yeah, we're really excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. This is really one of my best friends in comedy, which I don't just throw around lightly.
Wow. How are you?
I am good. I am trying to clear my throat from all the ash in the air, but other than that, I'm good.
Oh yeah, we're still dealing with the fires, which I think are better than they were last week. But
yeah, the winds picked up yesterday, or the winds have picked up, so it's just stuff in the air. But
Were you affected by the fire?
I was not.
Okay.
I live downtown, so
Okay.
we're pretty insulated from most
whole
natural
different
disasters.
set of issues down there.
First of all, Perkins
Different
is
kind of fire.
convinced that we're going to start the bubonic plague, whatever. You can say the word.
Yeah,
Downtown.
I mean, it already popped up downtown one time, like 5 years ago.
the actual plague.
Oh, yeah. The actual bubonic plague.
That's why I lick light poles when I'm there.
Right. but you say that, but you don't, like, when we're downtown, you're like, don't press the button, the walk
But that's because
button.
I'm a germaphobe.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
you should downtown be a germaphobe for sure.
Like, you touch all types of things.
Wait, can I show you?
Hey, now.
So when I was teaching my son about washing
Yes.
his hands,
Yeah.
one time my dog was eating, he ate cat poop. And I was like trying to take it out of his mouth with my hand, and I did. And then I proceeded to touch the walk sign. And I said to my son, look, I just touched cat poop with my hand inside my dog's mouth. And then I touched it, and that's why you wash your hands. He's like, right. See, it made sense when you saw, because you saw the whole thing in front of me.
Right.
That is a lot happening.
That's
I'm
a
sorry.
super life lesson right there.
Yeah.
Super life lesson.
Yeah, I taught him well. But then I ate sushi with those same hands.
Right.
Good.
So what's good, Vanessa? What's going on? It's still early enough to ask what your goals and things are for 2025, you know?
You know what? My goals for 2025 are to just do better. I have
like
no resolution. It's just do better than I did last year at stuff, especially procrastination, stuff like that, but not a set. I'm going to go to the gym every day. That's stupid.
Right.
Like, nobody wants to do that. I just want to do better.
So, like, how do you measure that? Is that a deal of, like, I guess you just have an internal clock, like knowing, did I procrastinate less than I did last year or something like that?
Yes. No, there's no hard requirements for this doing better. It's just like, if I feel like I'm doing better, like, I'm going to finish an actual script instead of just talking about it.
Right.
Who was the first person that put in your head that you could be a comedian?
Probably a good friend of mine who's now passed away, Charles Patrick Gooch. He used to book, what was it called back then? The Black People Night at the Comedy Store on Tuesdays. Tripping on Tuesdays?
Fat Tuesdays.
No, Guy Torrey was Fat Tuesdays.
Okay.
And then it got taken over. Anyways, he used to book them, and I would be at comedy shows every night when I first moved out here. Like, that was my social thing because I didn't have any friends, but I could go to a comedy club, laugh with people, and I got to know some of the comedians. And he was like, you should try comedy. I was like, that's not my thing. Even though I started in theater, I was like, comedy's not for me. And then when I found out my mom was sick, I was like, oh, I'm gonna just get on stage and see. So I called him and was like, could you put me up? And he put me up at Sarah's in the Valley off of Whitset.
So your first time, was it an open mic or was it like a real show and he just threw you on? Not a real show, but you know what I mean? A show with customers.
It was an actual show with customers.
Wow.
And he put me on just because we were friends.
Right.
And it was weird because I told him, I was like, no matter what, make sure, because Buddy Lewis and Kim Whitley were hosting. I said, make sure they call my name because I'm going to tell you I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dean Edwards went up before me and destroyed for 30 minutes.
Yeah, Dean Edwards is the homie from New York. He was a SNL cast member, does all these impressions. He's very talented, very funny dude.
Killed. Like, people were knee slapping, running around. He's the funniest thing. And they're like, and here comes Vanessa. And then David Arnold, who has passed away, another very funny comedian. Before I went on stage, he was like, don't fuck this up. He didn't know it was my first time. So I had him in my ear. Dean just killed. I don't know what the hell I talked about, but I was up there for 5 minutes and I'm still doing it now. So whatever happened, it was all right, I guess.
Very nice. And it's so cool to go up for the first time with a real audience. I had the pleasure of doing that too. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like a New Jack segment, but still it was a real audience.
Yeah.
Because some people will wallow around LA
at open mics for
years and years.
Yes. Before they even do one show.
Performing for other comics.
At every Starbucks that they can go to.
Right.
Wait, there's comedy at Starbucks?
They have some, like open mic type stuff.
Probably not at a corporate Starbucks, but other coffee shops. I've for sure done coffee shops, yeah. Although I think those comics who just do open mics forever and never do a show, oh God, they're so bad.
It's more of a support group. And guys who do those kind of shows, they kind of become Ted Bundy types, if I'm being honest.
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
No, but they really do, right? There's a bitterness to it.
There was one this last year who he snapped and he assaulted somebody. So
An open micer?
An open micer. Mm-hmm. And he was one of those, these chronic, many years open micers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's interesting. See,
I love a good open mic if I need to go work on something, but it cannot be your whole bread and butter of comedy. You will not get better only being at open mics.
100%.
And you will get all your material stolen from people who go off to do other shows.
Mm-hmm. True story. Well, let's get the story straight once and for all.
Let's do it. In the 1970s, American serial killer, rapist, and necrophiliac Ted Bundy admitted to murdering at least 36 women in the span of 4 years. But criminologists believe the number of killings reached well over 100. Most of his victims were in their 20s and had long, dark hair, and he often lured his victims into his car by pretending to be injured or asking for help. Then his killings typically followed a gruesome pattern.
Oh my God, for a second, I was like, oh my God, I have long, dark hair. And then I remembered I'm not in my 20s. I was like, oh, I'm good.
Well, and one of the pieces of advice I give my students is never help people put stuff in the car.
Yeah.
That's what Ted Bundy used to do.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have a broken leg and then he'd be like, can you help me? And then he'd like fucking kill you eventually.
I remember once I left the Laugh Factory in Hollywood and this lady needed a ride somewhere. I don't think she was at the show. She was just on the street. She needed a ride south. Older woman. And
Jesus Christ.
She was a little on the edge, but I was with another comic. So I was like, all right, dude, you sit in the back. I know she's older looking and she's a black lady. So, I feel bad about saying this, but if she does anything crazy, punch her in the face.
What the hell is wrong with you?
So he was in the back on, sort of lookout. And then it was fine. I dropped her like a mile south and she got out.
She could have walked a mile south.
I know. She was older,
Don't pick.
Yeah. But again, I respected her enough to punch her in the face. You know what I mean? Or I outsourced it. I wasn't going to punch her in the face because I was driving.
Why would you pick up a stranger? It's not the person in the car that you have to worry about. In that particular situation, they could be bringing you to the setup.
That's true.
Once you pull up, you at the trap.
That's true. Mm-hmm. But it was like not a side street. It was just La Brea.
Does not matter.
I'm not taking that.
I'm not doing this with you. You cannot explain away the fact that you picked up a complete stranger and took them to an unknown location. That is rule number one being broken of not getting kidnapped.
You never know. It could be a serial killer partnered with his girlfriend, like you said earlier.
But in England, I got off the bus stop at the wrong bus stop. Not in London, like England, like somewhere in between, like north of London. And I was just in the wrong place. And this guy was like, hey, you need to go such and such. And he gave me a ride, no problem. Happened in South Africa, Chicago. So I've been pretty fortunate. Yes.
The only thing that we know for sure right now, Dwayne Perkins, is that you are not on the traffickers' top 10 desired list.
No, not at all.
Dwayne, you're on my top 10.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I was trafficking people,
I appreciate that.
You would be the person I'd traffic first.
They would bring Perkins back. Start telling one story and they'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
I also took I picked up a lady at La Cienega.
What the hell?
At a what do you call it? A Ross Dress for Less or Marshall's maybe.
Okay.
She had a big lamp and she had trouble with it.
Jeez.
So I took her home with the lamp. She lived in a jungle, actually, if you guys know what that is. It's in South Central where Denzel, when Denzel said, King Kong ain't got nothing on me. It was that street, actually. and dropped her off, helped her with the lamp. It was, it was a little, it was okay.
Did you smash?
No. She was much older. I met her son.
Well, did you smash?
No.
Did you smash with the son?
No.
No smashing occurred.
If I'm picking up a bitch from Ross dressed for less, helping with a lamp, and going to the jungle, risking my life, there needs to be some smashing at the end of that.
Yeah. I've been lucky.
Was she like, I have a daughter who's your age?
Let me see. This was a while ago too. I don't think she ran it like that. But I think it was a situation where I met her son. I don't know if he was affiliated, but it was one of them things where you're good if you come around here. You know what I mean? So
Jesus Christ. But you have no reason to go around there unless you pick up random bitches from Ross dress for less.
Right.
Perkins act like he just hang around in the jungle. What?
All right. Yeah. So as we were saying, so he picks up the women by luring them in, asking for help. And then, according to a women's health article and several documentaries, Bundy raped, strangled, and bludgeoned his victims to death. He severed the heads of his victims and then kept them in his apartment to admire. Oh, I hadn't heard that part. That's messed up.
Yeah, this guy.
What, did he keep them in something? Like, this is the 70s, right?
Yeah. No, he just put it out. That's like my favorite serial killer, Ed Kemper.
Oh.
He's from Northern California. He killed a bunch of hitchhiking women, girls. But he killed his mom first because he just had an issue with his mom.
Wow.
And then he cut off her head. And then he put it on the table when he'd eat breakfast. And like, he was talking to this detective. And the detective's like, you had a conversation with your mom? And he's like, yes, I had a conversation with my mom. What did your mom say? And he's like, my mom's dead. It was like the funniest, like just kind of moment. You're just like, oh, you're not that crazy.
But the fact that he was so like indignant, like he's looking at the cop like,
yeah,
what's wrong with this guy?
Oh God, this is pretty dark though. I mean, killers are mentally ill in their own way, so it's not like he's thinking, oh, how am I going to preserve this head perfectly and keep my apartment smelling like pumpkins.
It was really interesting. What I like about the Ted thing is just sort of like, because he was, I guess, I don't think he was, I don't know, the women on today, you can chime in. I don't know if he's that attractive, but I just think he wasn't
as attractive. He
wasn't as ugly as most serial killers. I think that's what
for the 70s, he was attractive. I think that's the caveat, because in the 70s, everybody was like weird looking, nosy.
Everybody looked 67 when they were 22.
Exactly. They aged faster back then.
That's because of the drugs they use. They use so much drugs.
Like, if a man was balding in the 70s, like, he had, like, long hair and thinning on the top. Mm-hmm. Nobody was shaving their head.
There's NBA clips with NBA All-Stars just with, like, complete receding hairlines.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, hair on the side, but not on the top.
Yeah, they look like, they super duper look like junior high school principals. And they're just out there giving out work, playing basketball. And they're all in their 20s.
And then you see Ted Bundy with his whole hair. No. Ted Bundy with a full head of hair and, like, slim.
Yeah, that's what it took in the 70s. You had to have hair. He eventually arrested and sentenced to death for his crimes. An article by Oxygen says, written by two journalists, Stephen McCloud and Hugh Answorth, who interviewed Bundy about his motives. They recall that Bundy often referred to an entity or malignant being as a driving force behind his kills, a literal voice in his head that compelled him to commit violent acts and whose will he could not deny. The entity was in him and of him, and it was a purely destructive power that grew from within.
Well, Psychology Today also mentions that other interviewers reported seeing abnormal contortions in Bundy's face and body. There was an unpleasant odor and a terrifying negative electricity that emanated from him. Bundy often referred to himself in the third person and has been recorded saying that the demands and expectations of this entity would reach a point where they just could not be controlled. That's my Bundy voice.
Nice. I thought you were being the entity for a second.
Oh, well, that's the
entity speaking through
Bundy. I got you. We all watched the video for Netflix.
Did you guys watch this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched some of it. We all watched the video for Netflix's documentary, The Ted Bundy Tapes, about the twisted mind of America's most notorious serial killer, in his own words. We'll put a link in our show notes. We'll put a link to Netflix Anyway.
When asked to recall the murder of his last victim, 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, in his last interview, many noticed that Bundy couldn't even think about it without making a devilish smile. But was he insane, or was he actually being encouraged by the devil? It's time to put on our thinking caps. Was Ted Bundy encouraged by the devil? When we return, we'll settle this once and for all and figure out what really maybe happened. Now that we've reviewed the evidence, let's give our theories. Was Ted Bundy encouraged by the devil?
First of all, I don't believe any of this. I think saying that he was possessed by the devil just lets him off the...
I 1,000%
lets him
agree
off
with
the
you.
loose of
1,000%
the kind
agree
of terrible
with you.
monster.
Yeah.
But if we're going to play with this, we'll just play with this. Instead of a devil, he was possessed by a monkey.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay, but why a monkey?
And where'd the
Explain
monkey
this.
come from?
The San Diego Wildlife Park, of course.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the same place I got my son from. Actually, this is the story I told my baseball team. Me and my wife were at the San Diego Wildlife Park. Baby monkey fell down from a tree. We picked him up and we tried to return him. And then they said, no, that's your child. And we're like, no, this is a monkey. So in the same way, except it somehow, instead of being found like a baby, it went into him.
I see.
And then now it's the monkey that was making him kill.
There's this really cool episode of Spooked where they talk about, so in China, they have like, you can get possessed, but over there, it's like animal spirits that can jump in
Interesting.
you. So there's a whole episode on like a fox spirit that gets into somebody's cousin. Anyways, that's what this
what's
like.
what's kind of ironic is as I listened to the story, I said to myself, this is bananas. So I don't know.
I will not.
All right, Dwayne, what's your theory?
Oh man. So with these things, we like to have a little fun, but also because people died, I just think that this guy's just an asshole, right? Yeah. Like you said, saying he's possessed by the devil lets him off the hook. But I will say this, the devil is somewhere there, right? But I don't think the devil recruited him. He basically sort of recruited the devil or went to the devil. You know what I mean? Because once you start doing evil, now you've opened up that portal to do more and more evil. It's like the devil's just being the devil. He's not thinking about Ted Bundy. And then he gets a report. He's like, this guy in Western America is doing some big numbers. And the devil's like, oh shit. All right, let's see what's good with him. And then, so maybe later on he was possessed by the devil, but the devil didn't make him do it. Right?
Well, it kind of wonder. You ever have like intrusive thoughts, not murdery ones, but like you ever like driving
Murdery.
on a highway?
Yeah, definitely.
And you're like, what if I just drove off this highway? But then you're like, why did I have that thought? That's silly.
And you don't do it
You don't do
because you have empathy. And so this is a guy who didn't have empathy, and
he did it. But I
from
feel
there,
like
it just grew and
maybe
grew.
that's the devil. It just like sends out, or demons like send you those things, and then like you go no. But Ted Bundy was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, as I listened to the Ted Bundy thing and hear him talk, he's actually just the ultimate and the worst incel ever, right? Even though he was somewhat good looking, I'll take your word for it. And he did get girls, but he was an incel at heart. So he was actually possessed by incels, maybe more, at least one, maybe a few. So these
ghosts of incel past.
Yeah, these
or
guys.
incel's future. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Maybe
he wasn't
future.
literally an incel though, because he had a girlfriend that whole time. There's
know.
a documentary on Max.
I know, but he had an issue with women, and like the first girl that it didn't work out with, he was definitely like thought more of himself than he really was.
And his mom wasn't his mom. He just hated broads.
Yeah, and his mom, he was illegitimate and stuff. So I think what happens is he was possessed by a bunch of incels. And so they possessed him because he was somewhat good looking. And so what happens is when an incel dies, he doesn't go
we hear
anywhere.
a little bell. We hear a little bell.
Yeah, right.
When an incel dies, a serial killer gets its wings.
The incel doesn't go anywhere. He has to be, you know how like
stuck like a ghost.
A soul needs to figure out what's going on. So an incel needs to find acceptance or whatever it is they're looking for. And they went into his body thinking, oh, he's a somewhat good looking guy. Maybe I'll get laid now. But then once he got laid, the spirit was like, it was never about getting laid. It was just about me hating women. And so then the incel is what encouraged him to do all of that. And he was an incel. So he had his incel energy plus the incels that possessed him.
Double incel energy.
And so he did all this over the top incel activity.
You know who the godfather of incels are? Like the king of incels that they still talk is Elliot Rodger from this UC Santa Barbara. The guy
yeah,
he wrote like that manifesto. And they still talk about him.
Yeah, they call him the Supreme Gentleman. Yeah. It's really creepy.
And there's actually a group of female. I'm writing a screenplay about this. It's called Femcells. There's a bunch of women who they hate women, and they're like,
interesting,
and they just think that like all the problems are like liberated, smart women.
Right.
And that,
I believe it.
And if you could go back to the way it was, it was so much better.
Well, I'm available to read for any part.
Those are what we call pick-me's, pick-me girls.
Yeah, right. But they hate women.
See,
that's how pick-me women are.
Yeah.
But at the base of the incel ideology, right, you got the two women. I don't know. I know there's like Chads.
There's Stacy's, and then there's this other one I don't remember. Stacy's are the hot ones, and then the other one is the not hot ones.
Right,
Becky is mid. I think that's a mid, and I don't know what the ugly women are.
So basically, think about it. Like, I'm super simplifying it, but like the hot ones are like these blonde chicks, and incels theory is like we don't even expect to get those girls, right? But then brunettes, girl next door, they're mad that they can't even get those.
Yeah.
And he killed a bunch of brunettes. So he was killing girl next door types. So it was just a incel to the 100th power kind of thing.
Okay.
Possession. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, Kat, what is your theory?
Oh, okay.
You act surprised like this is...
I've never done this before. What are you... Oh, gosh. Why am I the boring one? I'm going to be like, it was clearly mental illness. But I feel bad saying that because that kind of goes, oh, then are all people who are mentally ill like that? Yeah. No. Specifically, this one was like super bad. One time I was listening to on YouTube, you can find these recordings that people have made of like what it's like to have schizophrenia. Not for everybody, but in some cases. And it is the scariest thing. It's like all these voices that are like, you suck. And you go, is that mental illness or is it satanic? And you can see how like some people would confuse it. I, for one, I'm like, hey, let's not play the religion thing. Mental illness is real and it can be fixed to some degree if people take their meds.
But like being a sociopath is not fixable.
That is not.
It's not. And I don't think that's a mental illness
I think you can go from being like a schizophrenic sociopath to maybe just robbing people instead of murdering them.
All sociopaths do not become murderers.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that you're supposed to do if you have a child that's a sociopath, one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they say things like, oh, that's Tommy being Tommy, and then you ignore it. You're actually supposed to push them toward fields where it's okay to be a sociopath, like a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or like, you're like, okay, like
Fortune 500.
Yeah, like something that like is specifically like that would, or PE teacher is another popular one.
Hilarious.
But like it's like that, like you push them into things, and then you talk to them in a way that's like, hey, if you do this will happen. And so it's never like, oh, that's not right or that's not good or bad. It's
they
more
don't
of like,
understand that.
It's just not. This is what's going to end up happening.
Consequences. They'll respect consequences.
Yeah. It's not a deal. They just. It's like well, if I do this, I'm going to end up in jail for the rest of my life, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So I might as well not do that.
It's not don't do it because you'll hurt somebody. Don't do it because you'll hurt you.
Yes, exactly.
You will be punished. So don't do it because you don't want to be made uncomfortable.
Right. And that's actually why sociopaths fall apart in their 40s. Generally, one of the reasons why the 40s they fall apart is that usually what ends up happening is their career starts to fall apart because sometime in your 30s and 40s, you usually need somebody in your life that vouches for you. Dwayne's a good comedian. I'm going to put him up onto this thing or whatever, right? For the next job and the manager. And then what ends up happening is they burn so many bridges, they don't get that next thing. Right. So they end up plateauing career wise. And then as their career plateaus, their personal life plateaus. Like they start to think like, then they get angry at their wife or husband or whatever. And then their personal life so everything starts to crumble at that point.
Well, Bundy didn't score as what he thought he would on the LSAT. He didn't go to the school he wanted to go to. He at every turn he was like not as good as I think his self-image was horrible, but he was not as good as what he wanted to project out there.
Yeah.
So, and like when I joked about the open micers, there is some of that too. It's like these guys are doing open mics and they get to a point where it's like, oh, it's not going to work out for me.
That's how I feel about improv actors.
And then they,
that's
and they don't they become bitter, maybe not killers, but there's a certain bitterness.
Yeah.
You know.
So before I say the rest of my theory, I do want to share this on Elliot Rodger. I was living by UC Santa Barbara. I had just finished there when all this stuff happened. And the initial news reports all said that there was a second person in the car they were described as dark, but there wasn't an ethnicity attached. You're just like a dark figure in the car is literally was the description. They changed it, but I talked to some of the homeless people there because I went to a church where they would do like food things for the homeless. And they also said there was a second figure in the car that they saw with
I don't think
their
he had
own
friends,
eyes.
though. He didn't really have friends.
No, but I think
devil.
that was
the
the
devil. Oh, that's a good one.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's my theory. But so I mean, I think even though in theory, it's mental illness. I guess that's my theory, but I do kind of agree with Coach. I think it's the devil a little bit. And I don't think that lets him off the hook because I think you have to say yes to the devil.
Just like inviting a vampire in. Like you can't.
Right.
You have to let them be there. Or like with ghosts, you have to kind of let them come with you to somewhere. You have to invite them.
You just reminded me, like I have a friend who I hope it doesn't listen
Did you give
to
him a ride?
this episode.
He gives everybody rides.
But he
Did you smash this guy?
No. What? That's always gonna be no.
The things that
But,
happen in a Ross Dress for Less parking lot.
No, but and listen, if he hears this, no disrespect, but it's true. When he
This is very disrespectful.
when
Go
he
ahead.
prays, he says everything twice, and he thinks I don't hear it. You know what I mean? As if either, like you said, there's some sort of double voice. I don't know if it's a attachment of possession. He's being possessed. You know what I mean?
No.
It's like he says this, like you say, like a typical grace. God is grace. God is good. He'll say, God is grace. God is grace. It's everything.
You've said this before,
right
on this,
but it's only church stuff, and it's always doubled up.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
specific kind of OCD.
Yeah, maybe it's a religious OCD.
it doesn't do it anything else.
That's why I said religious.
Well, that one's good. That's the opposite of demons. It's like there's a priest that's his extra spirit.
Right? Maybe it's a good thing.
Does the priest touch him?
Maybe, yeah, perhaps.
So every time he masturbates, he's sexually assaulting himself.
Right.
Oh,
And
no.
how often are you praying with this dude?
Yeah, that's a good question.
No, it's when he's about to eat.
Oh, okay. And so he's fully clothed when he does this.
Yeah, like if we're eating and he says his grace, because sometimes if someone says their grace, right, I'll wait. Sometimes I say my grace, but I'm quick. God is omnipotent. You could just think it. He knows it. He knows you're grateful, right? He created everything, you know? You don't got to say it out loud, but if you want to, cool.
Yeah, because I've never been out to eat several times. You have never once said never once have you been like, let's talk to the Lord first. Normally, you got a steak halfway in your mouth, and I'm like, hold on, I am talking to Jesus.
You should do for like 20 minutes and just talk.
Well, that's the thing. Because of this doubling up, I'm waiting, and that's how I even notice it, because I'm just like, dude, I'm like waiting till he finishes, and he's got to say the whole thing 2 times. And while my food is getting cold,
I feel like this isn't about Ted Bundy. This is about you venting about this.
This is like the viral videos of like when like you have a son and he brings over a girl, and then they have like these family dinners, and then the families do like weird stuff just to like mess with the person.
Oh,
and one of them is
right.
like one time they had a guy, they all stood up and did the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's hilarious.
The girl was like sitting there, and then she stood up and she started playing because like she thought that's what they do.
Hilarious.
Like you could just do weird shit, and like what if like everyone just did this weird prayer?
Oh, that's really funny. Listen, I would hope it's that as opposed to just whatever the implications are.
And you never asked.
No, because I thought if he's possessed, I don't want to deal with the
But
possession.
you're going to eat with him, though.
Right. You keep breaking bread, but you don't want to just ask.
Yeah, every time you open your mouth, he could go in your mouth.
Well, you can't
that
just
sounds
ask
bad.
him.
That's not bad.
You can't just ask him, right?
Yeah, because he's not going to tell you, I'm
just have
possessed.
No, you just say, I noticed that when you pray, you repeat everything twice.
No.
That
Throw
What's
holy
that about?
water on him and say, "What is your real name?"
See, no.
Beelzebub?
No, I thought about doing that, but I don't have my plan B. So if I throw the holy water on him, he goes, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm like, fuck. I'm out there now.
Well, you got to open
And
a
you
window.
don't have holy water.
No, I do. I have some holy water. Yeah.
You should always have some holy water.
No, my mom gave me some. Yes.
I have some
I have
too.
some holy water for sure.
I trust your mom. I don't trust you.
I don't know where she got it from. So I don't know who sanctified it. I don't know how does it become holy water? I'm not sure.
It
Bless
is
it.
actually just Purell.
Is there a Brita or
Some
is
people
there
say
a holy water
my
Brita?
urine is holy water. I've
Do
heard that
they?
Before. Yeah.
Who says that?
Nobody.
Wait, so I just want to make sure I get your theory. Is mental illness.
Mental illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vanessa, what is your theory?
So I believe he was possessed by the devil, but the white devil.
How is the white devil different?
This, like, serial killers, especially cutting off people's heads and banging dead bodies, that is 1,000% white people shit.
Yeah, I've never heard of a black serial killer who did that.
No, there have been black serial killers.
There have been, but not like that.
Black serial killers, and there is an exception to every rule. But let's say we have 50 serial killers that are banging dead bodies. Right?
And having sex with them, not like banging them against somebody.
Having sex with dead bodies. I will bet dollars to donuts that you can't give me more than one that's black out of those 50.
Probably a person of color, even.
A person of color.
Probably not every person of color, right? Exactly.
It's white people shit.
And it's male.
It's
too.
male whites.
White males, yes.
Because women typically kill because they're mad. Men, it's about power, control, and they're just disgusting.
Yeah. Well, and women
Just
also
like
tend
psychosexual.
to...
Yeah.
And women tend to hurt themselves. And
Yes.
then that's why like their school shooters generally men.
Yes.
Because they want to hurt
Lash
other
out
people
at everyone
and
else.
women and cut themselves or something.
But I do think that there is mental illness attached to it. I do not think that he is actually possessed by the devil. I don't really believe in possession.
I got to introduce you to one of Dwayne's friends.
Well, because I think
My neighbor.
we like to blame a lot of things on possession that are not. Because a motherfucker can just be crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
He
Also,
can just be nuts.
like any drug, you have to start the drug to become addicted to the drug. And if killing is a drug, you have to start doing it.
Yeah.
You have to start doing it. And then it becomes
An
it takes
addiction.
on its own
Yeah.
life.
And
And
this
then
is probably
they
a
said
rush.
at 3,
Yeah.
his aunt or something woke up with all these knives around her when it was like a 3-year-old, and he was just standing in the room like he. Like he was just nuts from the beginning.
Who was that?
Ted Bundy.
Oh.
Yeah. What else does a white devil do?
Well, they call the police when you're barbecuing.
Wait, did you guys see it was a viral video recently, but it was this white woman. She was running with her 2 kids at like late at night, and she's running down the street, and then some car allegedly follows her. She runs onto this porch, and then this African-American guy who owns the house comes out of the door and says, like, do you need help, basically? And she's like, you don't even live here. And then she started screaming, and then she ran. Like, she was on his porch.
Then his wife came out and was like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, you have to understand where I'm coming from. I have my kids. It's dark. And a car is following me. He was like, I was pulling into my house. Bitch, you were in my driveway. Well, you just have to understand how that makes me feel.
And then everyone calls her racist. She's like, I'm not racist. I love everyone. We're like, no, that was totally racist.
I hope you're not offended that I was in your yard telling you don't live here.
That's banana sandwich. I haven't heard that
And
one.
had her kid ring the doorbell. Get down. I was like, what is happening?
That's what a white devil will make you do then.
Exactly.
Okay,
she
got
was
it.
possessed by a white devil.
I like that. See, because he was born in like his mom had him, like, he didn't know who his father was, his biological father.
His sister was his mom.
Right.
His grandparents took him on as their son because they didn't want to admit that their daughter was a hoe.
Right. Or
he didn't find out until way
He thought it was
later.
his sister.
Yeah, he thought it was his sister.
It's very
until...
incel of him to be like upset at his mom for
Yes.
that
being
was
a
a
teen
thing,
mom.
though.
That's sad.
That used to
That happened all the time.
Happen all the time.
I know another white devil thing. It's people who now in 2024 America, 2025 America, they'll poll white people and they'll say things like, it's as bad for white people today as it was for African Americans in the 1950s.
White devils say that a lot.
It's like, no,
They say that a lot.
No, it wasn't. No, it isn't. It's not
They
even
say that a
close.
lot.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's outrageous.
Banana.
They say that a lot.
Or that slavery was a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Or that
They
they were
learned a
just
lot.
workers. That one, I was like, what?
There's positive benefits of that.
Right.
Yep.
What I was going to say is, if he didn't know his father, maybe the devil was his father.
Oh.
His father got out of there.
Yeah.
His dad was like, I was here for a good time, not a long time. My mom.
We do.
funny.
And
We
then
do
the
know
dad
about
left. So why are you mad at women? It sounds like you got daddy issues, my guy.
Right?
But also, he another guy stepped up and gave him his name and everything. Like,
But he always talked shit about him. He was like, that's not my real daddy.
he gave you his name. He stepped up.
I don't know. I do think, though, that original dad is probably a sociopath because that does run in families. We do know
Yeah,
a
facts.
family friend, like neighbors from a neighborhood, where the dad beat the mom. And then there were 2 kids. There's a daughter and a son. And the son is now on trial for being in a sheriff.
Oh, we did a show about him.
And then
Yes.
Oh, completely different family, but yes, also. So the son is currently on trial for crimes, and then the daughter is someone who like threatens people and is a bananas girl. So the whole family, it's the whole family.
What's the one that just had a new spinoff come out? Dexter. Dexter. And the original sin, his son is now, it's like, you have a dark passenger too. Nah, y'all just crazy, dog. Y'all crazy.
So at this point in the show, it's time for us to pick our unofficial official story. One that will answer this question once and for all.
Quick, let's review the current season 4 scores for theories. As of this episode, 4 for our guests as a whole. So now the guests are winning. 3 for me, 2 for Kat, and Dwayne is in last place with 1.
I feel like on some of the episodes, like mine and the guests were kind of similar, and I didn't get the credit. You know what I mean? I was
You're 1
being graceful about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that you probably started out with a good point,
And
then 17 minutes later, they forgot what your point was.
Are you saying I go for too long? Is that
Talking.
what you say?
You are very talkative.
I'm sorry, I go for too long.
You said no one.
Wait, words.
All right, Kat, who are you voting for then?
God, I think I'm voting for
Monkey.
Dwayne, actually. The devil theory, like incel possession.
Incel possession,
possession.
Right.
Okay.
You couldn't even remember your theory.
No, I remember when you said devil, I was like, no, incel. That's right.
I'm voting for the white devil because I think that's great. That's my vote. What about you, Dwayne?
I like that. I like the white devil. I do, but I also like the incel thing, which is mine.
Yeah.
But I will say this: in my life, me personally, I've had to encounter the white devil more than the incel devil, so I'm going to go with the white devil as well.
And by the way, we should be clear. I mean, not all white people have the white devil.
No,
No,
not all
not
white.
at all.
Because
Not
there
at
all.
are
Some.
good, solid white people
Yes.
You haven't
who
had
are
a devil.
not possessed
So
by
you might
the
even
white
have an
devil.
Asian yellow devil.
Right.
But that's fine. Okay.
Exactly.
Who are you going to vote for? I mean, you should vote for your own then. It's 3-1.
Yeah, I'm definitely vacillating between the incel devil and the white devil, but I'm gonna go with the white devil because the white devil is always fucking up shit.
The worst crimes are always white.
The
white
worst
devil.
crime.
Yeah, the one in Canada, the don't fuck with cats one is probably one of the worst of all time.
Yes.
And that was a white guy.
Right.
Yeah,
The
that's
white
true.
devils
Dahmer.
who
Even though the incel would be more like almost United Colors of Benetton, because anyone can be an incel, but I like the white devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Elliot Rodger was half Asian, right?
Right.
He hated his Asian.
But he came out.
yeah.
He did his thing. Incels already existed before he
Yeah.
did his
Yeah,
thing.
but he was like, he wrote the manifesto that everyone like masturbates over. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's
like that
crazy.
manifesto is like a lot.
It's gross. It's creepy.
Yeah. I mean, I study it every day. I say it twice when I'm reading it. Actually, that's what we should do before dinner. Start reading some crazy manifesto.
Right.
No.
Well, I think the thing with incels is that they get picked on or they don't get like attention, but they don't get beat up. You know what I mean?
I think they have like bad emotional regulation because I think we all have to learn how to cope with rejection, right? And then
Right.
nobody ever teaches them how to cope with rejection.
Nobody
or
fucking
say,
rejects
like,
me. That's
right because they don't get beat up. You know what I mean?
I also think that a lot of times they don't put themselves out there to be rejected.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there looking across the room like,
Well, and also they're-
she's not even going to talk to me.
Well, also
Right.
like they're like C's, and then they're like trying to get the A+ person, and
Yep,
they're
instead
like,
of going for another.
Meanwhile,
C
fucking Abigail over here has been trying to help you with your homework all school year.
That's funny.
And you want to just fuck Abigail.
It's almost like a movie we wrote, Slump Busters.
Oh,
in a
yes.
different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always that nerdy girl who's like, he doesn't even see me. And he's out here killing people when he been getting pussy.
And Bundy had 2 different girlfriends. One was he was punching way above out of his weight class, and the other one was more like okay. But he wasn't happy with either, though. He still needed to.
well, it's because it's never
Because he
about
wasn't-
sex.
He didn't
Yeah.
want
No.
sex. His
It's
whole thing was he gets
power.
off on
Power
murder.
control.
Right.
We
And that-
are
It looks like the guests are winning, by the way.
It does. And that's the official story. We'll take another break. And when we return, we'll be trying to figure out what our villain backstories would be if we all became serial killers.
If you became a serial killer, what would your villain backstory be?
Mine would be that I went to the San Diego Wildlife Park. I looked at the tree. There's a noise in the tree. I opened my mouth to look up, and the monkey fell in my in my mouth.
The monkey dropping?
The monkey spirit.
The monkey spirit.
Oh, okay.
And then it came, and then and that's how I became a serial killer.
Nice. What would you have what would your name?
The Monkey King.
The Monkey King. I like that. I like that.
I mean, that's a famous Chinese story.
Right,
I'm not Chinese,
right.
but I could go with it. No one could tell the difference.
Very nice.
Okay, so I would be like a rapist poisoner.
That's
So
specific.
I would find men who had like assaulted women, and then I would poison them with like radioactive tea, kind of like how
So you're
Putin
not
did that
raping
one
them. You're
family.
getting the rapists.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I thought you were.
Oh, I thought you was getting some on the way out.
I thought you were raping people.
Poison
Yeah.
rapists.
Got it.
You would poison rapists, not be a
Yeah.
poison raper.
No,
Okay. All right,
That's
got
an
it.
important distinction, though.
Okay.
a rapist poisoner.
Got it.
And I would find men who had like done messed up things to women,
Mm-hmm.
make sure they were guilty somehow. I don't know, do superpowers, right? And then I would do that. And then my backstory would be like, I'd be like Batman. Like they don't know who's doing it, but someone's doing it,
Mhm.
and they're glad that I am. It's like, am I a villain or am I a hero? Nobody knows.
Mhm.
Like definitely vigilante justice for women who can't get justice.
Nice.
And poison them to death. Would you? So they're not getting raped though.
No,
Hmm.
no.
That's what they did. You know what I mean?
But as a woman, I have to be aware of
see,
my
I
like
see.
physical weaknesses. Like I can't beat up a man, but I can put radioactive stuff in his food, and then he dies later.
You
You
can
don't
get
even know.
him erect, though. That is part of your superpower as a woman.
Huh.
And then you're like, ooh, get it, daddy. Pow, you're dead.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You could do that. You
Wow.
could do that.
Mhm.
Sure. But I like the idea of like poison is stealthy, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't happen right away. Like down the line, they get sick and they don't know what's going on, and then they're out. And
Okay.
I'm what's that? 2 shades to the wind? I don't even know if that's a phrase.
2 shits to the wind.
It's 3 sheets
Three
to the
sheets
wind.
to the wind.
And that,
That's when you're
and
drunk.
that actually it means being drunk.
That's when you're drunk. Yeah.
So,
Oops.
but that's okay.
Gone. I mean gone.
You're
I'd be
gone.
gone.
You're in the wind.
I'm in the wind.
In the wind.
I'm
Okay.
like 5 states
On the
over,
lam.
poisoning
Yes.
a whole other person at that point.
Very nice.
Okay. Wow.
I'd take applications.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. It's like Santa. Like,
Yeah, I'd be like, "Do you have proof?" And then,
It's like,
but it's like
dear
proof
raper poisoner.
that the police isn't like helping you with, but you have evidence. Because I'm not gonna just like kill anybody just like on just.
Now, are they paying you?
I'm sure. No, I don't want to. No, I did this out of the goodness of my heart. Like I don't want a paper trail.
Mm.
They can give me like diamonds or something, but it can't be something.
Diamonds or gold bars only.
You mean the people
Yeah.
the victims can pay you if they want? Is that?
Yeah,
paying you? Oh, nice.
like gold bars. I need to be paid in gold.
I think for me, again, like I like what you said. The thing I really like is make sure they're guilty, right? So I would need, who's it, Julian Assange, that guy,
Yeah.
someone like him who can really, hack into people's accounts and everything. So we just make sure that there's been a fair amount of douchey behavior. We got to track this. So it's probably take us a few years to get a good, solid douche list of just complete douches. You know what I mean? And and then I would just start taking out douchebags. And that's
What
doesn't
qualifies? Is this like somebody who uses a checkbook at the grocery store?
that's probably just an old person, though.
Like douchery
No,
is a
no, no.
myriad of things.
Absolutely. What defines douchery? So that's why it's going to take us a few years. So it's got to be people who fuck with other people consistently and who bear false witness consistently. So people who say one thing and do another, but consistently. People who
There's gonna be a lot of people's ex-boyfriends in
People
that
who
list.
fuck with
So
people
many.
for no reason. And maybe that's the process. We take names. Okay, you think this person is a douche. We'll investigate it and see if it reaches to the level that they need to be taken out.
I feel like that's what the Chinese government does with the points.
Yeah.
They're like, if you have enough points, so we know you're a douche. And it could be the
Right,
checkbook thing. It could be cheating.
And I think I'd be like the D-bag hat, D-bag something,
Destroyer.
slasher or D-bag, something like that.
Destroyer. The
Destroyer.
alliteration is good.
D-bag destroyer. And so eventually it'll just be like, it doesn't pay to be a D-bag because you might get
and then
nominated
you sell that
and
merch
you might get killed.
as a
Yeah.
Right. And so now some people are still going to want to be douchebags because
Sure.
some people just have a certain
doesn't pay to be a D-bag.
Right. And so, and how would I kill the D-bags? Well, first it would start with just beating them to a pulp. But as soon as they said sorry or were in pain, as soon as they stopped acting like they were God's gift or whatever, then the beating stopped.
And you might show mercy. And
no, we still kill them, but the beating stopped. We just kill them like fast.
Swiftly.
Yeah.
Merciless.
Vanessa, what's your backstory? What kind of
Okay, so I got distracted on whether it's my backstory or just what I would do. So my first idea is to kill the pedophiles, but I'm going to shoot them on over to Cat. It's the rapist, because I think that's in the same thing.
They are.
But my villain backstory would be, I am a young lady who is in love with a young man who I think is amazing, but the several bitches before me have ruined him. And now he is not emotionally available, and he is a D-bag because of these women. So now I am killing all of the horrible bitches that have made horrible men.
Ooh, I like that one. Can I vote for that?
You went to the source. You're killing the D-bag source.
I'm going to the source, and I am killing, because how many times or anybody, men have dated women or whatever.
Absolutely.
How many times have you dated somebody and you're like, who hurt you before me?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to retrain them to be with a decent individual.
I literally had to deal with this last year.
Yes. And you're sitting here like stuff will happen. It's like when you go to hug somebody and they flinch. Like, who hurt you?
Right.
I have to go kill them because they're not going to just keep making all these damaged men out here for the rest of the world.
I like that
Straight to the source. But I have to be hurt first. That's my backstory. I have to think I'm getting married, and then he like leaves me at the altar or something crazy.
For the girl that you liked in high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she ends up like punching him in the face. Like he's never.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Thank you, Vanessa, for coming on with us. Please tell us where people could follow you.
I am Vanessa Graddick on everything. So VANESSA GRADDICK. I'm very easy to find. That's my handle on all social media platforms.
Including Truth Social.
I am not on Truth Social. And I'm having my reservations about even going back to TikTok right now. It's pretty.
That whole thing
it's a
was so
weird
silly.
place.
That
I'm
was
just
a
going to
stunt.
hang out on.
It was a super stunt. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to hang out on Instagram where people my age like to dwell.
Where Zuckerberg groveled.
Right.
Yeah.
All of them were terrible, dude.
They are.
They all-
I
Like, I'm not
Threads.
old enough for Facebook. I'm not quite young enough for the TikTok-y, so I'm going to just stick with Instagram
Right. Honestly,
until further notice.
I feel a lot of these multimedia or internet guru type people, they could have become a Ted Bundy, except they were good at something and
Got
you know,
rich.
yeah.
I see that one. Yeah,
probably.
for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. There are almost 3 million podcasts, and we're honored you've chosen ours to listen to. Please check out our website, unofficialofficialstory.com, for show notes or to hear our past episodes. Please follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and YouTube.
And we'd love to hear from you. You can send us a message by clicking on the Contact Us button on our website or leave us a voicemail. Click on the microphone at the bottom of the homepage. Tell us what we got right or tell us what we got wrong. And tell us how much you love or hate us, or if there's a topic you think we should cover. Or do you think you'd make the perfect guest? Let us know.
And please consider writing a review of our show on the platform you use to listen to this podcast. We know it's a pain in the butt, but it does go a long way in helping the show. It helps us reach new listeners, grow our show, and most importantly, it enables us to keep putting out the content that we hope you enjoy.
Today's episode is the last episode of the season, so we'll be taking a break, but keep your eyes out for the best of season 4 and the trailer for season 5.
Aw. Or is that an aw? I don't know. I always think it's aw, but it's also positive, I guess, because it's the end of the season.
Let's do this. Yay!
Yay!
Aw. Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.